Welcome to the fold, man. That's awesome. Good for you. Proud. So, a lot of this is going to be stuff you do to any vehicle, but some of it is very 6-liter specific, so please pay attention and hang in. With any vehicle that you acquire, obviously you want to start with an inspection, hopefully before you buy the stupid thing, right? Pulling codes, seeing if there's anything there, inspecting the engine compartment and underneath the vehicle, looking for obvious leaks and wear items and just the condition of things overall, right? Take a look at the tire condition, tread depth, inflation of tires upon your ownership of it. Maybe pull the wheels off and, inspect the condition of the brakes, especially the parking brake seems to be a common thing that people just don't use. And then you go to use it because you need it on a boat ramp or something, and then the stupid thing won't release because it hasn't been engaged in forever, right? And then just a review of the service history of this thing. Do you have service history on it? Do you know when the last time all this stuff that should be done was done? Fluid changes, oil changes, trans fluid, brake fluid, coolant, front and rear diff, transfer case, all that stuff matters, right? As far as coolant goes, I would recommend hopping on FICMRepair.com and looking in our maintenance tips section and read the tip called Lose the Ford Gold Coolant for a 40-page guide on how to back flush the system and get all the gunk out of there before you clog up an oil cooler if it's not already. But then, other things too, like, just change the serpentine belt, spend a couple of bucks. If it's got, the kind of miles it's got on it, probably the tensioner and idler pulleys haven't yet been replaced. If you've got a shop press, I don't need to sell you replacement idler pulleys, just the bearings. Just press out the old, press in the new, call it a day, move on, right? Then you want to do other things that maybe aren't quite so obvious. Maybe put the batteries on a desulfating smart charger where it's actually sending, electrical millivolts out to the batteries to recondition them. Then disconnect the batteries from the world for at least 24 but less than 72 hours and do a cold cranking amp check on them just to check their health to protect the FICM, because inadequate supply side voltage kills this fuel injection control module, among other things, and we don't want that for you. Then down the path of other things, right? You want to inspect, when you're in your inspection that you already did, you're looking obviously for any kind of leaks and seeps and all this kind of stuff. A common thing is the radiator that's got plastic end caps. So take a look for any kind of coloration on those plastic end caps. If you see anything, let us hook you up with a all aluminum radiator just to forego any kind of issues there at all. And look for any kind of flexing that you might see on the caps on the intercooler and see if there's anything special there, if that thing's getting ready to blow. Down the path of hoses and whatnot, Mishimoto carries some upper and lower radiator hoses that are silicone. They've got a lifetime guarantee, far better than the rubber ones. And underneath the degas bottle, the coolant overflow tank, some would call it, is a Y, a little 1-inch diameter hose that's got a Y in it. And that Y from Ford is made out of plastic, and really you want the aluminum one that Mishimoto has. It's just better. Then probably the thermostat is shot, and even if it's not, Mishimoto's 200-degree thermostat is a very, very good find. And I would say go ahead and install that puppy. If you're still running stock fuel, and it sounds like you are, consider down the path of a 500,000-mile truck, consider whether or not you want to go ahead and take the plunge and migrate to like a fast 140 with a driven diesel regulated return and fastest sump. It's just better, but it's also spendy, right? So if the budget doesn't allow that, minimally grab a Blue Spring kit off our site and install a Blue Spring kit, which is a fuel pressure regulator spring, and then go ahead and check fuel pressure and verify at full operating temperature when you just pedal to the metal it that you're not dropping below 45 psi. If you are, it's time for a fuel pump even anyway. So those kinds of things matter, right? Now the FICM is absolutely sensitive to supply side voltage inadequacies, but also spikes. So recognize that the VT365 motor came commonly with a 130 amp alternator, and some of them even with a 160 amp alternator. And so those alternators, and they're used for longer trips just anyway, not the short trip type stuff. And as a result, because they're commercial more applications, right? So they're not just grocery getters. And so between the larger alternator and the use of those trucks, the FICM tends to be happier than with our Power Strokes, where we're using them to go 10 miles and shut off the truck. So there's a very large commercial to upgrading the alternator and getting a ready for prime time alternator. So just do a search on here on TikTok for alternator space FICM repair. You'll see any number of videos that have mentioned the alternator. And any questions you've got about this truck, we've probably shot a video on it, right? So if you got a question about starters, do a search on starter, FICM repair, injector, FICM repair, blue spring kit, FICM repair. And you'll probably find a video that discusses this. If you're missing a video and you want more information, put it in the comments here, and we'll see if we can, shoot a video on that too. We get around, to most of the comments anyway. Some of them there's just like, oh my god, oh my goodness, oh my golly, there's just not enough time. But then the 5R110 transmission is awesome, but it does have a weak spot, and the weak spot is the fact that it does not upshift through fourth gear. So do a search on our site on FICMRepair.com for the transmission full upgrade kit, and watch the video on the homepage of FICM Repair, all the way at the bottom, called How to Extend the Life of Your Automatic Trans. It discusses these solenoids that you really should put up in there, because your tranny just doesn't upshift through fourth gear. It shifts 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and that clutch pack that handles that shift from third to fifth, yeah, it's pretty high on the list of things that cause us to have to sell somebody a tranny, and I don't want that for you. Now, outside of that, you probably want to invest in some monitoring gauges. We really like the Edge Insight CTS3. It's awesome. You add that in conjunction with the street diesel kit, they call it, and now you're monitoring fuel pressure, you're monitoring exhaust gas temperatures, you're seeing what your injection pressure regular duty cycle is at hot idle, and you're seeing what your FICM main power is, which actually brings me to the next point. Let's go ahead and determine whether or not your high pressure oil system is healthy or not. So with gauges in mind, and if you can't swing the Insight CTS3, I get it. Do a search on OBD2 on our site. You'll come up with a little Bluetooth guide. It's like $30, and so you can download an app like Torque Pro or ForeScan and go ahead and take a look at this kind of stuff. But you want to take a look at the IPR, injection pressure regular duty cycle, and verify that at hot idle it's about 23%. The closer it is to 30% at hot idle in drive stopped, the closer you are to a no start, because of either a weak high pressure oil pump or just a leak in the high pressure oil system's plumbing. And so you want to find that out before you have a problem. Similarly with gauges, you can see key on engine off first thing in the morning when the truck is stone cold. You can verify that your FICM main power is 46 volts or more. During cranking, it's 46 volts or more, and during cold start running, it's 46 or more. And at 2,000 RPM, when it's stone cold, that it's 46 volts or more. It should never drop below 46. Ford would say 45. In our experience, the answer really is 46. Down more to the path of longevity, I will tell you, to your 500,000 mile comment, we really like Insane Diesel's bypass oil filtration product. I know it's spendy, I totally get it, but it filters progressively from 10 down to 1 micron. And so all of a sudden, your injectors are just happier with you, your bearings are just happier with you. Everything is just better. So that's worth thinking about. Also worth thinking about is Diesel Sight. They have an external transmission filter whose claim to fame is that it goes ahead and it is a bypass filter, sure, but in this one aspect, it's a full flow filter. And that one aspect is if the torque converter turns into shrapnel, it'll catch all the floaties before it takes out your transmission. How unbelievably cool is that? And it even comes, if you want to buy the little add-on, little dial gauge that shows you the flow and says, okay, this filter's getting clogged up, maybe it might be time to change it. So that's kind of fun. After you do all this stuff, you check the brakes, you check the front end for sloppiness, you do all the inspections, you change the fluids, you change the hoses and the belts and whatever, then we can talk about having some fun. We can have the performance upgrades conversation, which the beginning of that really is a fuel injection control module based tune. And so you can ship off on FICMRepair.com. We can ship you out a tuner on loan. You can try out all the tunes. The Atlas 40 is by far the most popular because you can still tow with it and still use the thing as a truck, but it just makes it drive a lot more like a gas truck and a lot less like a pokey diesel. And most guys, as a result, get a couple, maybe 3 miles to the gallon better fuel economy in city driving, and probably only a half a mile on the highway, but still the miles per gallon gallon number is definitely worth it. So thanks for watching all this. I know it was a lot, but hopefully it helped. And if you got questions, comments, thoughts, whatever, you guys, please put them in there. We're all learning together here. So FICMRepair.com, we really are all in this together. Anything you need, we got you. We rep for literally everyone. I can't think of the company we don't rep for. We can get you anything at prices that haven't been beat in 15 years. We price match for 30 days after the sale even. So whatever you need, we got you, even if that's just tech support. All right? We're all in this together. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.